Hello students, good evening. Welcome back to a new video of Sunanda's tutorial. So in this video I will discuss about the ecotone and age effect. It is a very important topic of ecology. It is present in your BSc and MSc botany syllabus as well as in zoology and environmental science syllabus. It is very helpful for plus 2 students and for OPSC and UPSC aspirants, for SSB lectureship aspirants and OPSC lectureship aspirants, OPSC assistant professor aspirants, and it will also helpful to TGT PGT aspirants. So let's start. First of all, what is ecotone? An ecotone is a zone of junction or transition area between two biome or diverse ecosystem. Suppose it is an ecosystem and it is another one ecosystem, and this area is the ecotone. Suppose it is ecosystem 1, it is ecosystem B, and this area represents the ecotone. Then the ecotone is the zone where two communities meet and integrate. For example, the mangrove forest represent an ecotone between marine and terrestrial ecosystem. The mangrove forest generally grows in the amphibial zone or amphibious zone, that is present in between marine and terrestrial zone. So mangrove forest represent a perfect example of ecotone. Then how this ecotone form? When there is a change in physical environment, it might result in abrupt boundaries as seen at the interface between sections of forest and cleared land. Then mountain ranges are primarily responsible for establishment of such ecotone because they exhibit a wide diversity of climatic condition on their slope ranges. Then characteristic features of ecotone. Ecotones are location where two or more biological communities, ecosystem or biotic regions meet. They are formed when environmental conditions change abruptly. The coexistence of two different species and living forms is influenced by these environmental changes, both within ecosystems and at their edges, where ecotones may arise. Ecotones indicate a physical transition from one ecosystem to another, as well as change in living condition, including habitat and niches. Then most ecosystems do not have distinct boundary. This suggests that there is a fragile zone where plant and wildlife coexist. There is lack of a strict boundary. It has circumstances that the transitional zone between neighboring ecosystem. As a result, it is a tense zone. As we travel away from a community or ecosystem, the quantity and population density of the species in that community or ecosystem usually diminishes. Some species in a well-developed ecotone are completely distinct from those in neighboring groups. That means, suppose it is a ecosystem, it is another ecosystem, and here the species A is present, here species B are present. But in this ecotone, some other species generally evolved or found, which are totally different from this A ecosystem and B ecosystem. Then one of the example of it is marine ecotone and freshwater ecotone. Marine and freshwater ecotones are types of ecotones found in aquatic ecosystem. They differ from terrestrial ecotones in their characteristic as well as species or species composition. They are classified based on the presence of large plant like algae, seaweed and macrophytes. These are rooted to substrate and needed light to grow. Marine ecotones are found where fresh water meets the seawater, like estuaries and lagoons. They have a mix of marine and freshwater species that adapted to changing salinity level. Freshwater ecotone occur where two freshwater ecosystems meet. They have species of plants, fish and invertebrates. These species can tolerate the mixing waters of different depth temperature and flow rate. Common example of freshwater ecotones are A's between lakes and river, A's between stream and pond, A's between marshes and wetlands. Species in aquatic ecotones have adapted to changing environmental conditions. This may be due to tidal flow, wave action, then sediment movement and fluctuation in temperature, light as well as salinity level. Then what is ecoline? Ecoline is a zone where there is a continuous shift from one ecosystem to another in the lack of distinct barrier. There is a lack of distinct barrier between two communities, but there is a continuous shift from one ecosystem to other between two in terms of species composition. An ecoline flows across an environmental conditions gradient such as progressive change in abiotic parameters such as altitude, temperature, salinity, depth and many more. An ecoline is a term used in ecology which is defined as physiochemical gradient. What is the meaning of gradient? Gradient means difference. Temperature difference, pH gradient, pH difference, temperature difference. So gradient of characteristic of species in a specific geographical range. Suppose it is one ecosystem, it is another. There is no strict boundary. These are the zones which is known as ecotone, or it is known as ecoline also, because it is not a strict boundary. It is a region where one community change, another community starts appearing, and this zone is known as ecoline because there is no strict boundary in case of ecotone. A wetland is an example of ecoline because it is gradual transition from one terrestrial to aquatic ecosystem. Then importance of ecotone. Ecotone have greater variety of organism. Ecotone lie between two different ecosystems. They typically have organisms of both ecosystems. This lead to higher biodiversity in ecotone. Suppose it is ecosystem 1, it is ecosystem 2 or B. Here both A and B species are found. Or maybe some another type C with A and B. So here in ecotone more biodiversity is found. They provide nesting place for animal. Many animals come to ecotone in search of nesting places and food. This is due to ecotones having good mix of habitat and resources. They act as a bridge for gene flow. The presence of organism from both ecosystems allows for exchange of gene between population. This increases the genetic diversity. They actually act as buffer zone. Ecotone like wetlands can absorb pollutants and nutrients. This prevents them from entering the adjoining ecosystem. This acts as a buffer. Then they are the indicators of climate change. Shifts in the boundary of ecotones over time indicate that in climate and environment. Scientists study changes in ecotones to understand climate change impacts. They support both ecosystems. Ecotone contain plant and animal of both ecosystems. Thus, they help support the populations of both adjoining ecosystems. Then, effect of ecotone on the environment. What are the effects of ecotone on the environment? First one is biodiversity hotspot. Ecotones are biodiversity hotspot, fostering a unique blend of species from adjacent ecosystems and promoting biological diversity. Then species adaptation. Organisms within ecotone exhibit specialized adaptation. Adaptation means adaptation to the environment, allowing them to thrive in dynamic conditions, because environment is always changing. It is never constant. So it is always changing condition. That is known as the dynamism of the environment. So species adapt to various types of environmental condition in that ecotone. Then ecological resilience. Ecotone contribute to overall resilience of ecosystem by buffering against environmental disturbances and providing a mosaic of habitats. Then climate change impact. Ecotone is sensitive to climate change, making it an essential area for studying the effect of global environmental shifts on ecosystem. Then human influence. Human activities often disrupt or disturb the ecotone, leading to habitat fragmentation and loss, which can have cascading effects on broader environment. Then ecosystem services. Ecotones deliver vital ecosystem services such as water filtration and regulation of nutrient cycle, benefiting both adjacent ecosystems. Then conservation importance. Recognizing and preserving ecotones is a crucial for maintaining the biodiversity and ensuring the long-term health of interconnected ecosystems. Then dynamic nature. Ecotones are dynamic and constantly changing, influenced by factors like climate, fire regime and human activities or anthropogenic activities, making them challenging yet fascinating areas for ecological study. Then the management strategy. Effective management of ecotones require a holistic approach considering the interconnectedness of ecosystems and impact of human activity on transitional zone. So it is all about ecotone. Now we will study about the age effect and age species. What is age effect? Age effect refers to the change in population or community structure that occur at the boundary of two habitats. So I have already told you that suppose it is one ecosystem, this is another ecosystem, ecosystem B. This area is known as ecotone, and always it is seen that in this area a unique category of species are found. Many biodiversity, these are biodiversity rich region. So this is known as age effect. That means the change in the population or community structure at the boundary of two habitat. Generally changed community structure is found in that ecotone, which are not found in ecosystem A or B. Sometimes the number of species and population density of some of species in the ecotone is much greater than either community. This is called age effect. The organisms which occur primarily or most abundantly in this zone are known as age species. The age effect, the species or the unique species found in that ecotone area is known as age species. In the terrestrial ecosystem, the age effect is especially applicable to birds. For example, density of birds is greater in the ecotone between forest and desert. So it is all about your ecotone and age effect. I hope you really enjoyed this session. In my next video, I will discuss some other topics related to ecology or biology. So stay tuned and enjoy my videos like this. Thank you, and please like, share and subscribe to my channel Sunanda's Tutorial.